Hey, this is MTM Vegas. I'm Sean,
And I'm Mark.
and we are going to talk about the Vegas news this week, and we're going to get right into it. Mark, one of your favorite Vegas hotels is going adults only. Are you excited?
I mean, I feel like it's kind of cheating on their part. I know, Cromwell. It's a smaller casino hotel, and there really wasn't any reason for kids to be there in the first place. You know, the pool's like a nightclub, dance area type of thing. There's nothing drawing kids in. You know, like Flamingo has the outdoor area, that has a cool pool area. Circus has rides and stuff. Like, I don't think families were going to Cromwell, so I think it's kind of a way for them to try to steal some of Circa's thunder, being, the first adults only in a while, so they can put it out there. But I never saw a kid in the 4 or 5 times I stayed there. I've never seen a kid in the entire place. So I don't know. What did you think about it?
I thought it was a brilliant move of them to kind of steal Circa's thunder, like you said. Of course, Circa opening right now. I mean, it's opening tonight as we record this, and their big marketing tagline was "adults only." And now the Cromwell can say they are the adults only casino on the Las Vegas Strip, and I think that that's quite interesting. And we talked last week about the fact that Cromwell was still closed, but of course, right after we recorded it, they announced that Cromwell is opening October 29th. And if anybody watched our last video, I'm staying there. I got a comp on the 29th. So I will be there for the reopening of the first adults only casino on the Strip. So that's kind of exciting that it's reopening, first off, but also that it's going to be adults only. And I totally agree with you. It has always been sort of an adults kind of property. There isn't a whole lot outside of the casino, a couple of restaurants, and the nightclub and stuff like that. I believe Giada's restaurant is going to still be open for families, so families will be able to
Yeah,
go
that's what I
there.
read. Hmm.
So, but the casino, the hotel, all of that will be adults only. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. Cromwell is really small, as you know, 188 rooms and only a 40,000 square foot casino. So it's going to be interesting to see how well it succeeds, but they don't have to sell thousands of rooms to adults only. They have a very small supply of rooms. And one other thing that they're kind of marketing as they reopen is some kind of unique odds, or they're trying to market the fact that they have the best odds on the Strip in some games, roulette, blackjack. Kind of explain what they're going to open with.
Yeah, so interesting that they're going to have a single zero roulette table, which I can't think of anybody else in Vegas that has it. Usually it's more of a European thing. The odds are way better for the player on single zero because you have one less of, spot to land in. You know, single zero, double zero usually take the whole table's money because not a lot of people play them. So it's kind of like the house advantage. So having one less of those adds to the player advantage, especially if you're playing like red black. You're taking one loss out of the equation. So that's pretty big. I'm kind of surprised they're doing that, but it's cool. 100 times odds on craps, which you'll see, off the Strip, but not usually on the Strip. And that's when you make your pass line bet, and then you can back it up. Say you put $10 on your pass line, the come out roll, then you can go behind that up to $100, which is pretty great if you're playing craps. You're putting a little bit of risk on the come out roll, but then you can play, depending on what the number hits, you can play up to 100 times. So you can make some serious money there if you got a hot table. They're saying 3-2 blackjacks, which, there's a lot of 6-5s on the Strip. So that's big. I think that they already had some 3-2s in there, but not all the tables. They're going to have double deck blackjack, which is always, an advantage to the player versus playing, a 5 or 6 deck shoe. So that's nice. Yeah, I mean, that's stuff you usually see on Fremont Street or the locals casinos like the Orleans or something like that. So seeing it on the Strip at one of the nicer casinos is pretty interesting. And I don't know how long it'll stay around, but I'm definitely going to gamble there.
What's interesting is they're also rebranding their sports book to William Hill. That they're buying William Hill, of course, so that sort of makes sense. But I think just in the wider picture, I'm kind of excited about the fact that they are kind of, different casinos are having to segment themselves in different ways compared to before. Park MGM going smoke free. We see adults only. And I think this is good for the Strip diversifying, because I think over the past decade or so, so many of these casinos have become homogenous and sort of the same. And I think it's good to have different reasons to go different places. And those odds, some of those games and some of the unique aspects they have for the gambling is great because, you know, it really is just a casino in a very small hotel. So I'll be there Thursday. Look for a video, a full review on the channel coming in the next week and a half or so. And I really can't wait to stay there. As you know, Mark, I only have a handful of casinos left or hotels left on the strip to stay at, and that is one of them. So I'm really excited about it.
I'm still trying to sneak my way into the Nobu Tower so we can do that one too. So I called again today. Like I emailed my host and I just got like an automatic response. Like the first one was, I'm going to be off until Friday or whatever. So I email back on Friday and I say, you know, what's the deal with this? And then nothing. Then yesterday I emailed again. I got an automated response. I'm out of the office indefinitely. So call the VIP line, which I thought was weird. You think it would just get forwarded to somebody that is working? So I don't know if they laid off a whole bunch of staff or what's going on there. So I called in and requested it, and they said they'll put a note on my account. So when I check in, if there's availability, I have a shot at it, but we shall see. Hope so. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm sure that they've furloughed and laid off so many people that I'm sure it's pretty rough, and they probably haven't had time to kind of have everybody get organized to follow through. It's kind of an unfortunate thing there, but yeah, I'm hoping you get a great room at least. And of course, I'm looking forward to Cromwell. And some other big news happened this week, and that is that Las Vegas Sands is potentially exploring a sale of their Las Vegas properties. Las Vegas Sands, of course, owns in Las Vegas the Venetian, the Palazzo, the Sands Convention Center, and they own part of the new MSG Sphere that's under construction right now. And the rumors are that they could be looking for upwards of $6 billion for their properties in Vegas. The vast majority of their property or their income, I think around 85%, comes from their properties in Macau and in Singapore. The Marina Bay Sands, of course, in Singapore, that famous hotel, is just truly gorgeous. And they have many properties in Macau, the Macau Sands, the Sands Cotai, the Venetian Macau, and the Parisian. So they have a lot going on in Macau, and they really do favor that market. As a comparison, Mark, Bellagio sold late last year for $4.2 billion. Now, that was a land sale where MGM Resorts leases it back to manage it and everything. And MGM also sold Mandalay Bay and MGM Grand in a combo deal for $4.8 billion. So this is $6 billion for Venetian and Palazzo, plus the Convention Center and MSG Sphere. And of course, that number isn't confirmed. There is no buyer yet. But what do you think about that value and Las Vegas Sands kind of exiting or maybe exiting the Las Vegas market?
Man, in 2020, I don't see them. Who's going to line up to buy it right now? That it's a big question, and I think it is pushing the higher end of the market. When you compare it to like Mandalay Bay and the MGM sale, you know, you're talking about $2 billion more. I know Venetian Palazzo is considered higher end. I mean, is it that much better than MGM? I'm not sure. I don't really know their revenue numbers, but unless the convention center brings in a lot of business, which there's no conventions going on right now, so that, you know, that's up in the air for a couple of years probably. I think it's shooting for the moon a little bit. You know, I would expect it to be more down in like the 4 or 5 billion mark. But what do you think? Like, where do you see? I don't see MGM buying it. Caesars definitely isn't going to be buying it. So do you think it's going to be somebody coming from like the Asian market looking to get into the US? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's a strange one. One of the reasons Las Vegas Sands wants to exit the Vegas market is because of all the regulation here. They're far freer in Asia to make money, and they work much closer, I think, with the government than they do here. And of course, Sheldon Adelson is a very political person and very outspoken with his politics. So it's an interesting thing. I agree with you. I don't know necessarily that $6 billion is a number that they're going to get. Of course, we're not analyzing their income and everything else, but Venetian, I would say Venetian and Palazzo is definitely a step above MGM Grand. I would put it on par with Bellagio, Wynn, those properties. They are 4-star with some 5-star service. Much nicer than maybe you think just because it's a themed casino, but it is definitely a high-end place. But, you know, to compare it, Venetian and Palazzo has around 7,000 rooms, I believe. Mandalay Bay and MGM Grand, about 10,000 rooms. And so, yeah, it's far less. The location is, I would say, a little less desirable for Venetian compared to, let's say, Bellagio. But, of course, the north end of the strip with Resorts World is sort of changing. And so that could be something that is good for them. But I think maybe the $6 billion number is something they're throwing out. And then, of course, we don't know. The MSG Sphere is over $1 billion being spent. We don't know what would happen with that if they sell it, if that's included with everything, because that wasn't really announced in this news story. But I think it's fascinating, and I really have no idea who would buy them. Genting is one of the biggest gaming companies, of course, in the world, and they're building Resorts World. Packer from Australia, the guy who owns Crown Casinos, huge casino company internationally. He owned for a period of time the land across from Wynn that Wynn eventually bought, so the old Frontier site. So I don't know who's a big enough player to spend that kind of money and who would want to get into the Vegas market right now, given all of the uncertainty and the economics of it. So I don't know. And the other thing I was interested in is maybe they didn't say this, but maybe this could be another situation like with MGM where they sell the land and then they do a leaseback and Las Vegas Sands continues to operate it. They didn't say that in the release, so it's impossible to know. And I guess I'm going to assume that that's not going to be the case, but maybe there's a potential for that. And then you have people like companies like Blackstone and other real estate investment trusts that might come in, buy the land, and then do some sort of a management leaseback. And so I guess that's a potential thing that could happen as well.
Yeah, I thought the most interesting thing, and you brought it up earlier, is 15% of the revenue of the company's revenue, but 80% of their compliance issues, which I would have thought the Asian markets would have been, have some strict rules and stuff. So that kind of surprised me. And if you're putting up 80% of your, putting 80% of your time for 15% of revenue, it doesn't really make sense to me that they would want to stay in this area. And then they're saying that they want to put $2 billion back into the Asian market. So this would help with that if they could do the sale. And then it also said if they were able to sell it for $6 billion, that would be around 17 months of leeway in cash that they could keep the other properties going if there is another issue or like another wave of lockdowns and stuff like that. So it makes a lot of sense. I just don't know that they'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give Sheldon Adelson tons of credit for being such a visionary when it came to Macau. And he was basically the first Western casino operator there with the Sands, I believe, which is on the mainland in Macau. And then he had this vision for the Cotai Strip, built the Venetian out there. The first time I visited the Venetian Macau was in 2008. And it was all by itself out on this strip of landfill out in Cotai in Macau. And now I think there's 10 or 12, something like that, mega resorts on that strip just in 10 years. He basically envisioned this second Las Vegas Strip of the East and has built it over the last decade. And so he's been all in with Macau, and they have some gorgeous properties there. And I stay there quite often in the Sands Cotai Strip at the Conrad. And of course, the Venetian is beautiful there. And they've been in that market for a long time. And I could see why, given the numbers, the fact that they're getting so much revenue there, and Macau being the #1 gaming market, and Singapore now is the #2 gaming market with only 2 casinos, or it has been. I don't know what the exact numbers are right this second, but Las Vegas Strip has fallen, and maybe the fortunes for Las Vegas aren't quite.
That's insane when you think about it. Second in the world with 2 casinos.
Yeah, 2 amazing casinos, by the way. The other one is owned by Genting, who's building Resorts World Las Vegas. They have Resorts World Singapore, and then Marina Bay Sands. And both of those properties are just amazing and world-class, and highly recommend anybody visit there. Of course, Marina Bay Sands is so famous for its buildings, and Crazy Rich Asians made it even more famous, I think. But yeah, I'm really interested in this news. I don't know that we're going to get anything. I just don't see anybody buying any Vegas properties right now, unless it's at a discount. And we've also seen rumors of some local casinos up for sale. Planet Hollywood for a long time was rumored to be up for sale, and nothing has surfaced. None of these places have been sold. Makes me think that until we kind of get on the other side of all the current events with the pandemic, that it's probably going to be a tough sell for Vegas. Even though a recovery is happening, it's still very slow, and who knows how long it will take for things to get back to normal. And so that changes the economics of everything. So yeah, that's it. Let us know in the comments what you think about Cromwell being adults only and the possibility of Venetian and Palazzo getting sold. Who do you think is going to buy it? Do you think it's a good move? Look for in the next week Circa videos on the channel. We're going to have our State of Cromwell. We'll have some other Vegas stuff with me and Mark since he's coming to town. Tons of great stuff coming to the channel. If you could, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about these stories. And we will see you next week on MTM Vegas. Thanks for watching.
See you next week.